Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Dennis Pierre. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Locker Room. I'm your host, Dennis Pierre. Today, we got a really dope episode with some dope people. I want to attempt to redefine or define dating and marriage in today's era. I think it's switched. A lot. But I have the perfect guest. Got my homeboy, Andre. I'm sorry.
Okay, man.
David Andre. Well, that was good, baby.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Chilling.
Love.
Thank you for coming, man. Thank you for coming. So, as I said, this show is about dating. This show is about marriage. This show is about relationships. When I grew up, I always heard the 3 Ps. Provide, protect, perform, right? As of recently, I heard that I'm assuming this is switched to the 3 Fs, which is funny, financially set, and effable. That's what I heard now the new terms are. What do you think women want nowadays? What do you see them wanting in today's world, in today's dating era?
Well, I think it depends on the short term and the long term. Mm-hmm. In the short term, I think women are mainly just trying to check off boxes.
Okay.
6 feet. They want somebody tall. They want somebody who's financially sound. Mm-hmm. They want somebody that's easy on the eyes. And then in the long term, I think just ultimately women want safety. Mm-hmm. Women want to feel financially safe. Women want to feel physically safe. And, they want to feel safe to take their foot off the pedal and eventually let somebody else push down on it. Mm-hmm. So, that's potentially, from a macro level, what I think women are looking for in the dating scene right now.
So I used to agree with you until me personally, I provided all that.
Okay.
And then it wasn't enough. And then I saw other people provide that, and it wasn't enough. Mm-hmm. And I started to wonder, is this something that they're just saying because it sounds good, right? So just think about 6 feet. Fortunately, we got blessed with the genetic pool. We're above the 6 feet.
I'm not complaining.
measure.
Thank you, Lord.
However, there's a lot of guys who aren't.
That's a fact.
So all those guys get eliminated?
No.
There's a lot of guys I know. I'm sorry to cut you off. There's a lot of guys that I know who are financially sound. Can't hold the girlfriend, not because of their lack, because of what I've seen, what I think, the search for more. Mm-hmm. This guy he has a house, he has a really good job, but this guy over here, he has 2 houses, and he has 2 companies. Mm-hmm. So let me go over here. Like, nothing wrong with this guy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the case anymore. You know what I'm saying? Based on experience and what I've seen. You know what I mean?
So a lot of times with passing the eye test, it's also for women passing the eye test for their peers. Mm-hmm. A lot of women are seeking validation based on who they appear with. Obviously, the man that presents with, a lot of the key attributes, height, money, good looking, things of that nature, it makes them look better, essentially. Mm-hmm. So I think when it comes amongst their peers, it's, I want to look the best amongst my peers. And you can make an argument that who doesn't want to look the best amongst their peers?
Sure. So are they dating you, or are they dating their friends through you? You know what I mean?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Like, I remember, me and you've traveled the world. Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot. That's another reason why I wanted you to come on this show, because it's not just, you're not just talking about from a Western perspective. You've been around the world. You've seen a lot of different things. I remember going on trips, and I remember posting and dressing for people, and I had to remember thinking to myself, like, where I'm at in this part of the country, they don't even know this brand. They can't even afford this. Mm-hmm. I'm doing this for people that's not even here. And going back to what you're saying about these women dating, I think the same thing. I think they're doing it for people that's not even in a relationship. So do you even care about me? Or are you dating me to impress your friends, to impress your peers, impress the people around you?
Well,
you know what I mean?
I would agree with that. I think personally, when it comes to my experience and what I've seen, pardon,
all good.
a little sweat. But, I think from what I've seen, women are first looking at, the obvious, what they can see, what appears in front of them. But then they lose track of, what's behind the curtain. What are they looking for? The soft skills, the intangibles, the things that they can't put their eye on. I think those things are the things that sometimes get where they look past, and then at the same time, coincidentally, those are the things that we're looking for as men. We're looking for the non-tangible things. That's really where us as men is looking to be validated at, is really with our leadership, really with how we support the people around us, how we, engage, how we talk to of our tone, our delivery. These are all of the things that, it's funny that a lot of women say that they want in a man, but a lot of times they don't lead with that, with what they're looking for. It's usually what's passing the eye test. So a lot of times if, I feel like there will be a lot more success if the intention behind what they're looking for long term is expressed as much as what they're looking for in the short term.
Nice. So I'm glad you said that, because that sounds like a lot of traditional qualities and characteristics, right? However, I don't know if that's actually the case, right? You know what I mean? Because I've heard women say, I want a leader, somebody can lead, right? But in order for somebody to lead, you have to follow the leader, right?
That's
like
a
I've had
fact.
plenty of coaches in my day. You
That's
know
a
what I'm saying? I
fact.
play ball. You can have the greatest coach in the world. If the team doesn't follow the coach's instructions, what good is it? It means absolutely nothing, right? I also feel like the level of financial security has gotten out of control now. I applaud my women being in the workforce nowadays. Like I totally love it, right? But for our sisters and for women to be in the workforce, and then for guys to still provide for them while they're in the workforce and allow them to keep what they're doing, I think that's how they're looking at the financial security. Like, I can't tell you the amount of women that said, hey, listen, I just want to be a stay-home person, or not even stay-home person because they don't necessarily want to stay home. That's boring. But I just kind of want to work and not worry about anything else. Now, I've always argued from a male's perspective, that's cool, but now you're just putting more of a burden on us. Besides just being alive as a black man and, trying to figure all this stuff out in America, now I have to make your life easy, or just easy, and I'm getting what? I'm balding, I've got gray hair, I'm stressed the hell out. Like, what's the return on this? You know what I'm saying?
So it's funny that you say that, because a lot of times you'll hear, through social media, a lot of different outlets, over the last few years, you hear this slogan, well, what do you bring to the table, right? And a lot of women will say, well, I am the table. Well, unfortunately, when they make that statement, it absolves them from any responsibility or any effort that they have to, present to incentivize a man to want to reciprocate the energy that, you're essentially looking for. So, when it comes to, that table argument, I think it's flawed only from the perspective of, there's no highlighting or of what your intentions are, or, how can I add value to you? Because at the end of the day, for the woman who's looking for the things that you describe, I want to sit at home, or I want to live in my soft girl era, or, I want a man to lead, you have to be contributing to that situation to allow that man to show up in the way that you're looking for. There has to be something that you're either presenting to him as an incentive, or there needs to be some type of usefulness or some type of utility, something that you provide that makes his life a little bit easier, so he could show up and give you the things that you're looking for.
Right. And even when they say that, they are the table, a table without food ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I mean,
Or a table with cheap wood.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is gonna break after a while. You know what I mean? And then also, again, this is the way I've seen it. Women are gonna get mad at me. Maybe they not. Maybe hopefully this is an eye opener. In my opinion, a lot of women have a childlike mentality, right? So everything that you kind of described is something, the way I would take care of my daughter.
Yeah.
I hear this, the princess treatment all the time. It's like, princesses don't date kings. Like, that's the little girls. Like, I want a woman, you know what I'm saying? I want someone that, again, makes me better, than what I'm always going to do what I have to do, right? And this in the dating world, like, I can probably count the amount of times that I went on a date that I didn't pay for it. And it's probably less than 5, right? I can count how many times, somebody has opened the door before I got a chance to open the door. These are just certain things that I've been doing for like decades at this point in time, right? So to be 46 years old and I still got to question what you offered me in order to, that's immature. That's not grown up stuff. You know what I mean? That's like, I feel like I'm dealing with the same issues I dealt when I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and that's crazy to me that it's like we haven't grown up in all this time. Like, how do you still want it? The soft girl era, like, this is New York City. Where's this soft in New York City? Explain this one to me.
It's
Like,
not happening.
so what do you want? You want a helicopter from your front door to their job, so you don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to, like, where's that at?
Well, let's take a step back, right? So I abide by a saying, you can't be right with someone until you're right by yourself.
I like that.
You know, we have so much room for self-improvement, for growth. And the funny thing is growth requires a willingness to be uncomfortable. Most people don't allow themselves to be uncomfortable.
Very true.
Most people don't allow themselves to maneuver situations where they're not in control. And I feel like those are situations that build character. But to go back or to circle back, you know, there needs to be focused more on improvement. And improvement is not with the amount of money that you make. You know, improvement a lot of times is not really tangible. You know, improvement is really with the things a lot of the times that you can't see. Not only that, it's the things that people could see in you. So, you know, when it comes to, you know, women having these requirements, you know, a lot of times there's a lack of self-reflection. So before you can get to that point where I say, I want this, I expect this, I deserve that, you know, and having this sense of entitlement, even if it comes by proxy of educational achievements or career aspirations or where you've reached in your career, you know, I can see where that level of entitlement comes because you bust your ass to get there. But that doesn't translate to a relationship. You know, that doesn't translate to now I automatically get this type of guy because, you know, I got to this point in my life. You still got to do the work internally. You still got to do the work as a woman and show up, you know, the right way so that, you know, when that guy sees you, he sees somebody that, you know what, ooh, I could see myself being with, or ooh, I could see myself building with, or ooh, I could see my future with her. You know, so, you know, I think a lot of the disconnect is just mainly around, you know, focusing on the things that you can see and you can touch, the tangible, you know, the cars, the money, the this, the that, versus, you know, where's your character? How do you show up as a woman? How do you show up as a person? And, you know, and it goes both ways, you know, but, you know, because of the subject that we're on, you know, it's mainly about where are the things that I can see in you that would make me feel like, you know what, I want to step up and be that man that you want me to be.
Right. So you speak about entitlement, and this is me. Maybe I'm a harder critic. But there's certain things that's a given. I can't give you credit for it. Like, I can't give you credit for educating yourself. I know it's hard. We all did it. Like, I got school loans to the whole nine. I get it. I can't give you credit for getting an apartment and getting a job. These are adult things that you have to do.
I agree.
Unless you were born into a family that is super vastly rich. And even that's the case, you still got to do something to keep the legacy going. Like, so the accomplishments that a lot of people are championing, it's like, okay, you're supposed to do that. I don't understand. It's like almost to me, like when I hear people say, hey, you know, I'm a good father, I'm a good mother. Well, what else you supposed to be? Like, the goal is not to be a bad mother, bad father. So to me, that's a given. When we're talking about the expectations and the requirements, and kind of segue in a little bit, I've personally had a lot of women have these requirements. They've done their thing, great jobs, great career, education, but they may have a kid or kids.
Ooh. Yeah.
Now these requirements come in, and it's like, well, was the baby father 6 feet? Was he financially sound? Was he educated? When did it come that? And if that's the case, God bless. But a lot of times that's not the case in my situation. So it's like, when did this shift happen that this is what you need now, when you didn't necessarily need it before, or at least you wasn't seeking it based on the experience, based on the evidence that's here?
So I think we went from an era where it was incentivized for women to, you know, be a single mother, to now the reality or the roosters are coming to hatch, where it's like, it takes a lot to raise a child.
It's a whole human being.
Not only that, we're seeing more and more outcomes where a father is needed in the home. You know, we have so much outcomes, so much data, so many things that we could look for. You know, just things we could open up our eyes and survey our surroundings, where we could point to things that we say, okay, obviously there's a man needed when it comes to raising a child. When it comes to dating now, we are seeing a lot of women that, you know, have maybe had that child earlier on in life, you know, whatever the circumstances may be. Everybody's story is everybody's story, but at the end of the day, you're a single mother. You know, you had your child young. So now, when you re-enter the dating, when you're looking for that potential mate, now it's not only what he could be for me, but it's what can he be for my child? The flip side to that, which is ironic, is they never think, why would that man want to deal with me? What does this man get out of dating me with my child?
And it's crazy because when you say that, a lot of times they get triggered and the response is a harsh response. And I remember telling somebody, imagine, you know, this 14-year-old kid does a crime, murder, assault, robbery, whatever the case may be. He gets locked up. He paid his debt to society.
Correct.
However, when he comes out of work, he doesn't have to automatically get that VP job or that president job or that high position. He has to work his behind off because of the decisions that he made when he was young. Again, you don't want to hold that against somebody forever, but you can't just eliminate that. You can't just sit up here and be like, oh, I don't see the tattoo that you put on your face that says I hate all people, and now you're in customer service. Yes, I get it. You was kid, you didn't understand. Totally happened. Maybe the guy you thought you was gonna be in love forever. Maybe you even got married. You know, I don't know. There's some situations like that.
Of course.
But when it happens, and I feel like now you expect me to do even more than the requirements from before. And it's like, yo, we're not thinking rationally. We're not thinking logically. That doesn't make any sense. Like, outside of the responsibility of taking care of you, now I got to take care of something that's not mine. Now, I've dated many women that had kids. I personally stopped because it was difficult on a lot of different levels. One, I have an attachment with the kid, right? So me and things might not be working out with the moms, but because I have the attachment with the kid, I feel like I'm kind of forced to stay around because this kid got used to me, even though me and the mom's not getting along. Or the situation where fathers were in the kid's life, and every 2 seconds I gotta hear, my dad, maybe my ego ain't strong enough, I admit it, but I just don't want to hear about another dude all the time, you know what I'm saying?
Me personally, you know, I haven't really been open too much to dating women with children. You know, I have on a very small note, you know, 1 or 2, but nothing, you know, significant. It's not a significant part of my dating history is dating women with children. You know, one of the things I realized, because I come from a single mother scenario, you know, I've been that kid that grows an attachment to, you know, one of my mother's significant others or boyfriends, and then that situation doesn't pan out, and now, you know, I'm feeling left abandoned. You know, I've received that. You know, I've been on that side of it. So, on the flip side, knowing what that feels like as a child, me personally, I wouldn't, I'm reluctant to really entertain those situations. So that's number one. Number two, if we look at the priority list, when you start to date a woman with children, it's the kid first, right? It's the co-parenting dynamic before you, because 9 times out of 10, if she did luck up and have a, you know, stand-up dude or a quality man that fathered her child, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be some type of solid co-parenting dynamic that's included in that situation now that they've moved on from being a couple.
Immediate family,
right?
You might have the mother and father, or whatever. So now you're 4th or 5th on the list, maybe 6th.
Right, and then on top of that, the expectation is at some point, whether now or in the short-term future or in the long-term future, my resources, the expectation is my resources is going to have to contribute to benefit that child in somehow, some way. So when you look at all of that, the priority list, where my funds go, you know, a sense of responsibility over that situation that I'm gonna have with no authority over what I'm responsible for. When you really take a step back and you survey the whole potential opportunity, it gives you cause to pause at the minimum. At the minimum, it gives you cause to pause. It gotta be like, okay, what is it about this woman that despite all of these, you know, bullet points,
You still want to pursue. Yep.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, for a lot of guys, unfortunately, it's the lust factor. For a lot of it. I
yeah.
don't know the percentage.
Yeah, I would agree.
But a lot of guys don't think about that, right? And I think that's when a lot of confusion comes in too on the women's side, saying that, thinking that, hey, listen, I can always get guys. Guys are always trying to holler at me with the kid, whatever. I'm valuable. And not saying that they're not, but again, guys ain't really necessarily being truthful all the time. It's like, hey, listen, I like your body, I like whatever, cool. And then now when it hits the fan, it's like, oh, no, I can't do
The
this.
problem is, or the reality is, you know, at the end of the day, we all know, you know, there's more quantity than quality. You know, there's more people who are willing to do the wrong thing than people that will do the right thing.
Right.
You know, so unfortunately, the majority of men that, you know, look at women as a potential, that has a kid as a potential partner, you know, unfortunately are looking at them as recreational use only. You know, and women hate that. You know, they get triggered by it, and I would, and I understand why they would get triggered by it. You know, but when you look
I
at,
don't. I'm sorry, I don't cut you up.
Okay.
I don't. And the reason why, we have to be adults. We have to be responsible for our decisions that we've made in
We do.
life in all aspects.
We
right?
do.
In all aspects. I cannot go rob people. I cannot go do all kind of stuff, and then later on, just because I'm 40 years old and I didn't do it anymore, expect this different type of life. It would be lovely if it happened, right? But it's not too many Jay-Z's, meaning that you did stuff in the streets and now that doesn't happen. That's a fairy tale story.
I agree.
And I think a lot of people, especially women, are trapped into this fantasy, you know, Cinderella type of story. Like, you know, somebody just magically going to sweep me off my feet, this billionaire, and we're just going to do this, and the world is going to be different. And again, that can happen, especially in New York City. It can happen. The chances are so low. Like, why do we keep aiming for that? You know what I'm saying? This fantasy that's not necessarily happening. You know what I mean? Like, I one of the things I ask people all the time, like, you know, since I was a kid, if you won the lotto, what would you do when you, right? And since I was a kid, people say the same thing mostly. You know, I'm gonna retire and go to a tropical island. It's like, well, have you been to a tropical island for more than 2 weeks? Most of the time, no.
no,
Do you know about working cash and cash flow?
Yeah.
No. It's like, all right, so you first of all, you're gonna go to this island, and in about 6 months, you're gonna be bored out of your mind, especially coming from New York City, where you can get up 3 o'clock in the morning and get a gourmet meal. When the Caribbean, everything shuts down at sunset.
the same thing at 3 a.m. you could do at 3 p.m.
Yep. And then, and last but not least, you're not making any money, so that money's gonna go. So I say all that to say, I give that illustration to say that a lot of times people aren't thinking. They're just looking at the prize, or what that prize is. They're not thinking about how to keep the prize. They're not thinking about how to win the prize. It's nothing. It's just, I just want to get to the championship, which is the husband, taking care of you, you stay at home.
And they don't forget about training camp. They don't forget about, you know, the playoffs. They
All
don't
that.
forget none of that.
None of that's-
First
none of
round,
that's
second
irrelevant.
round.
Nothing.
They just want to host
Just straight to the
trophy.
chip.
Yeah.
Game 7, let's go.
Yeah.
Final shot. That's
Yeah.
it. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. Like,
Yeah.
even me, like, you know, staying on the kid topic, the last person I did it with a kid, it was so difficult because she was at the age where it wasn't really safe for her to have a kid anymore. And it was like, I'm gonna spend the rest of your life, my life with you, raising somebody else's kid, and you can't even give me a kid, or I can't have a kid with you. And emotionally, that was I couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, you know, like you said, there are some strong dudes out there
Yeah.
that can. I'm kind of more leaning towards your side at this point. Like, I'd rather just kind of stay away. And not that the women are not great. The women are great. This situation doesn't work for me. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it's funny because, you know, I as I explained before, I haven't really had much experience dating women with kids, but I do have 2 scenarios that I could point to. You know, one, you know, the child was 17. Father was active. They used to be married. Father's, you know, completely in his daughter's life, pouring into her. So it didn't put no pressure on me to have to show up for the daughter. Not only that, because the father was there, the daughter wasn't really succumbing to a lot of the BS that we see around us. you know, that makes you assume that she's going to not go down the right path. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that gave me, you know, reassurance that, okay, she's solid. And it was a reflection of the mother, too. You know, that she got a daughter, 17, doing a thing. So I was like, all right, cool. You know, the other situation, you know, the woman just had she has some amazing, well-behaved children.
Okay,
Like, so when you come across that, respectful, vocabulary is through the roof, you know, just very studious. You know, I think those are those outlier, one-off situations.
There you go.
Where you could look at that list that I referred to earlier and say, you know what? Let me put this list to the side and let me see what's going over here. But the caveat to that is that those women put in the work and poured into those children despite a man not being there. And now when a man comes and says, well, those kids aren't mine, it's almost like they could pick up the ball and run with it instead of having to come, build the court, go buy the balls, put the nets up, set up the rim, and create the whole court for now these kids to play.
It's funny that you say that. I would say not everyone, but some of my best dating experiences have been with women who were married, separated, or divorced. And the reason why I think that is the case is because I think they learned from their prior relationship.
Of course.
And now they was like, they're not gonna say make the mistake, but they stepped it up a little differently from other women that I have dated that haven't been wives before. So it's interesting that you say that about that, because I do think that does have something to do with it. So, question for you. Characteristics. So we know the characteristics that the women want. They went to 6 feet. You got to be a billionaire. You got to be hung like a horse. Funnier than Kevin Hart. I don't know what else. This stuff. You got to be a chef.
Yeah.
It's a laundry list of stuff, right?
Yeah.
What stuff do you want or you require from a wife? And speaking of wife, is marriage something that you would consider, you know, in the future?
Yo, it's funny. So once I've been married before. You know.
I know that now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I know that now. Right.
Okay.
All right.
So I've been married before, so I have mixed reviews on marriage, and it's mainly because you know, so many people get married for so many different reasons. Outside, in my opinion, the main reason should be for you know, so which you know, for the record, I believe is duty. You know,
Duty. Okay.
Duty. Number one.
Okay.
I want to get married because I want to take on the duty of a husband. Or as a woman, I want to get married because I want to take on the duty as a wife. That means that no days off, you know, one day I want to feel this way, one day I don't feel like doing it, or, you know, just know you prioritize the duty of that role in marriage, you know. So, but to go back to your point, what do I look for in a woman? I look for a woman first and foremost that doesn't lead with her sexuality.
Okay.
You know, I like women that, you know, dress conservative, sexy. I really, really admire a woman that has the physical attributes, you know, the big chest, the fat ass, all of that, right? But doesn't flaunt it. Shows up in a way where you won't even really know what's up under the hood until you open the hood and see, you know. A woman that has some exclusivity to her, you know, a woman that, you know, that's not too accessible. I don't want to see a woman that's not going to be outside, be seen everywhere she goes, somebody know her and all of that, you know, because I want to feel like I got something that nobody else got.
So I'm gonna challenge that from a woman's perspective.
Okay.
So I hear women say all the time, I hear men say that, but y'all always go for the video vixens and the girls with the booties and the girls that's out here. What would you say to them in that?
The video vixens and the girls with the booties is just fun and recreational use only and just to fuck on. I mean, if I'm gonna be completely honest, you know, that's just really it. So don't get confused. The attention that those girls get, or the attention that men give those girls as, oh, those are the ones that men are going for, because they're not.
Right. I compare it to
How many of those women have rings on their fingers?
This is true. I compare it to, and maybe people don't necessarily understand it, so I'll explain a little bit more. It's like a very expensive car, like a Lamborghini or a Maybach or any of the high exclusive cars. While people love to see them, they're not very drivable cars. Like every 5,000 to 10,000 miles, you got to get it tuned up, and it's very, very expensive. Like
Correct.
you know me, those are not like
They're high
everyday-
maintenance cars.
very high maintenance cars, very high maintenance cars. So for the most part, the people that have them, even yachts, right? For the people that actually have them, they don't actually purchase them. They lease them or rent them.
Yep.
Which means I have no intentions
Or
on keeping
they
this.
buy them to lease them out,
Right.
but they never take on
There's never
that
mines.
responsibility.
There's
correct.
never mines, right? And that's what I don't think they're getting. Like, this is just temporary. This is just for the moment. And again,
Right.
like I said, a lot of guys are lustful. Like, guys are visual. So if I see something that catches my eye, I'm on it. That doesn't mean your character is going to keep me around, right?
Correct.
So for me, one of the things I've always wanted, and I'm kind of simple. Yes, I want everything that you just described, but I just want a partner. And I feel like, and I guess it's almost kind of what you described as duty, because a partner is going to make me or do everything to make the other person look good in that moment or feel good in that moment. You know
So
what
the
I'm saying?
funny thing is, even when you said, I'm looking for a partner, from my experience and my interactions, the word partner in this day and age to women certifies equality, right? So if I'm a partner, I'm equal. I don't believe men and women are equal. I think we're complementary. I think we balance each other out. I think one makes up for where the other one falls short. I think together we become a cohesive unit, and we're even stronger together. But I don't think we're equal.
Even to double down on that term, equal. There's nothing equal in the world. Like that's a mathematical equation.
We're equitable.
Cool. I like that word too.
We're
I like that word
equitable,
too.
but we're not equal.
But even when you describe, if you try to keep that, what is equal? What's the equal part? Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like even if we're teammates, no teammate makes the same exact salary.
Yeah.
No teammates the same as like. There's
No
nothing.
no teammates have the same role.
Yes, you have twins. Identical twins. They're not. There's nothing equal about anything. So this term is crazy to me. And again, like I said, I understand the movement. And, I probably studied more of the women's movement than women have.
Okay.
So I understand where they're coming from. I understand where they're at. But I also don't think they understand what they're asking for, right? So the responsibility of being a leader in any role, like take out dating, any role, you a coach, you a VP, a owner, you whatever, you're responsible for everyone else. You don't get to get paid, you don't get to have fun, you don't get to do anything until everybody else is taken care of, right?
That's
So when
correct.
they talking about this equal thing, it's not equal because most of them get this money, as we talked about before, to be independent.
Yes.
So you don't have to do
Yes.
anything. You can be on your own.
Yes.
That is not equal. Most of the men that I know get their money to be to help other people, to be dependents of other people, right? Well, back in the days when we were going in the clubs, in the cities, tons of clubs, right? When we got the bottles, it wasn't for me and you. We barely drunk. It was for the women. When we got the cars, it wasn't for me and you. We could shack up in the back of the car, get on the dollar van. It's for the women. When we go to these 5-star restaurants, I'm not going with the fellas. I'm going for so all this stuff. All this stuff is for them that we've been doing since. So when they're talking about this equal, it's like, nah, it's really for you. You just that the idea of you being behind anybody, it bothers you so much that you want this equal role or whatever the case may be. But again, it's nothing equal, and be careful what you're asking for because that's a lot. It's not as easy as you think it is. You know what I mean? I remember seeing this one video and also one of my exes, and the video was like the girl was walking through the airport and she's like, oh, we're going to go to this restaurant. We're going to go here. Do, 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 do. And the guy was looking, yo, why is that guy looking at me over here? Yo, we got 15 minutes to get to the thing. And it's all this stuff that's going through guys' minds to make sure that everything is smooth. This is what we do all the time, unconsciously. Do y'all want that? Do y'all really want to worry about because again, going back to the soft girl era, everybody talks about soft girl. You can't be soft and be taking care of everybody and making sure no problems exist
That's a
before they
fact.
actually exist. And that's what we're doing. When girls say, "Hey, listen, I want a guy who's going to say, hey, I made reservations. I got your flowers. I got the car." Guess what that is? That's planning. That's thinking ahead of time.
So in a larger discussion, that's building and maintaining an infrastructure in a relationship. Most men have to build and maintain the relationship infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? And that just comes back from traditional roles in relationships, marriage, dating, et cetera, et cetera. So if the man isn't really stepping up to build that infrastructure around the relationship, you know, making it so things are easy, things are smooth, he's being proactive about, you know, foreseeing what can be needed, what needs to be repaired, what needs to be, you know, how do we improve on this, you know, that level of proactiveness, you know, is not something that I find, or in my experiences, is on the brain of a woman. Now, that's not to say that there aren't women out there who don't try to build and maintain the infrastructure of a relationship, but the expectation of it starts with that's what a man is supposed to do and how he shows up in a woman. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times that could be the thing that says to a woman, you know what, I'm done, I'm out, I'm on to the next one, or whether she stays. You know, we're not staying or leaving a relationship based on if a woman builds and maintains the infrastructure for that said relationship.
One of the main reasons why we're not equal.
And not only that is we control access to the relationship. You know, if we see a whole bunch of people walking right now through Times Square, right? If we see two people, a man and a woman walking down the street, if those two people haven't had sex yet, 9 times out of 10, it's because the woman isn't ready. If you take that same couple and walking down the street, and if they aren't exclusive yet, it's because the man hasn't granted access to that relationship.
Yeah. If I was always told women control sex, men control relationships. Yeah, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
So when we look at the roles and the responsibilities, you know, and the expectations that come with a relationship, that right there supports the argument that we're not equal.
Right.
And it's not to say somebody's better or worse. Somebody's more than or less than. You're more important and I'm less important.
And
I'm not saying that.
And that's how they think they look at it. You know, the 13th man on the bench, again, I'm playing basketball, so I'm making a lot of basketball references. The 13th man on the bench is just as important as that superstar, right? Because people don't know that guy's the guy in the locker room cheering everybody up when the guys are having a bad game. He's the one that's making sure everybody shows up on time.
Not only that, he's the one that's, while sitting there watching the game, telling y'all what he sees.
Exactly.
And what he noticed.
He's looking out for you, but you don't even know it. So everybody counts, right? Before we get out of here, though, I definitely want to trust on this traditional concept.
Okay.
I hear so many people talk about traditional roles, and I don't think, again, my opinion, and I've dated a lot of people in my life, the man's role has never really changed. Like, again, I don't know too many guys say, hey, women pay for the first date, women open the door for me, women pick me up, women buy me clothes, they get I don't know too many. Yes, there are guys, right? But we're talking about the very bottom of the barrel guys, right? But this role for the women, traditional roles, is not the same. So if we want to talk about, you know, my grandmother, my grandfather was married, and my pops did this, and my mom's never had to work, and what's up with the cooking? What's up with the cleaning? What's up with the rubbing them back? I asked 10 of my friends, really close friends, and I was like, yo, do y'all enjoy massages? They said, yeah. It's like, when's the last time one of the girls that you dated gave you a massage that wasn't your birthday or a special occasion, or you asked her? Literally, it was like that. You know, the hourglasses, the sand hourglass, where you turn around, and it was, that's sad.
I just had to think about it when you was asking, and I thought, and I could reference, you know, some, you know, times when it's happened, but it was a birthday, it was a special occasion.
That's it.
You know, it was.
So think about that for a second. I told my guy, think about that. Like, you've taken her out, you've done all this stuff. You got to the point where y'all intimate. She trusts you, you know, with her body, her mind. Again, somebody trusts you with their body, that's their life, because you can have a kid with somebody, right? And you with them forever. If they don't think to massage your back, massage your head, how's your day? what's going on. Like, I've dated women for over a year and they didn't even know what I did. Now, mind you, they knew what business it was. They knew I was a trainer, but how I made my money, how I got my clients, how I did the clothes, how I did the supplements, didn't have a clue. And I don't think they wanted the clue because they were comfortable in their soft woman era. Well, matter of fact, let me not even change it. Soft girl, because that's what it is. Girl era. Soft girl era versus a woman era. So these traditional, the things that it's like we're required to still be traditional and they are just required to do.
Yeah. So traditional roles, I would agree with you. The bar hasn't really moved for men when it comes to the traditional sense of a relationship, a marriage, etc. But women, it's moved a lot. It's moved a whole lot.
That bar went down. It was a 10-foot bar. Now
it's, you know, we could speak to so many causes, you know, so many things that's contributed to it, but we're here now.
Yep.
That's the end of the day. We're here now. So I would have to say that most women are not traditional when it comes to, you know, expectations in dating. But I also think that it's a combination of just pursuing career, education, and you know the funny thing is a lot of the things that they pursue is in competition of a man. You know, so in theory, you're competing with us, but then still want us to show up in a way where we don't think you're competing with us, you know, essentially, and it really doesn't make sense, you know.
Like most men will never ask to be equal. If you're in a higher position than me, I'm just going to take the position. I'm going to work my ass. I'm never going to ask you to give me something to be equal with you. Like, that's never the case, right? So, like you said, if you coming into this arena, and again, like I said, I congratulate my sisters getting into the work field and, you know, having some really dope jobs and changing the scenery.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
For
like,
sure.
That's not
I know
what we're
some
talking
dope
about.
women.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about at all.
Yeah.
But your career doesn't make your character. Your career doesn't make you. It's a job. Like
Doesn't certify it at all.
Especially in today's times, your job could be gone in a heartbeat. So now when your job is gone, that defines you. Like, who are you outside of that?
So the funny thing is that it's so much emphasis on the hard and technical skills as we grow in who we are, grow professionally, grow in how we engage with others and partner up, right? But we lose so much with not placing that same amount of emphasis on the soft skills, you know, character, humility. You know, that's not to go off on a tangent, but I think that's the number one thing that I've noticed that lacks in women today in dating is humility. You know, a lot of women are not humble, you know, and that humility translates to a lack of respect for a man too. You know, and I think that's where a lot of the challenges are. And then when that humbleness is missing and when it affects that respect that's not there, now that man that you're either pursuing, now he looks at you as a red flag. He looks at you as, you know, essentially like an op, you know, at the end of the day, because you're not for him. It's almost like you're against him.
You're for the streets. Wow. So again, people want, it is what it is. We're being honest, right?
Yeah, we are.
I've seen several women say, whether it's social media and real life, hey, you act up, I got options. I got XYZ waiting for me, right? How I looked at that kind of like the strip club. So going to the strip club can make a guy, if you have your pockets are adequate, they can turn a guy who's fugly, literally fugly, worse than ugly, to make him feel like Denzel Washington, right? Because that's their job. As long as you're paying, I'm entertaining you. I'm touching you. You cute. I'm on your lap.
That's the quintessential quid pro quo relationship.
Right. A lot of that is just like dating, which to me is more of a prostitution culture. As long as I can provide for you, then you'll make me happy or do the things that you think I need to stay around. But as soon as I stop, it's over. Super transactional. Now, the reason why I'm saying prostitute culture is because I want that shock factor. I want people to really think what a prostitute, what a stripper is. They're there for just the money. That's it. I'm sacrificing my body
Time for money.
for money.
Yep.
That is it, right? That's it. So if that's the case, again, that's the oldest profession in the world. I'm cool with it. Just tell me. Like, that's what we're doing. And I don't mean from a sexual standpoint. If this is all you want, then when I need you, if I need some time to go somewhere, or I want to go to dinner with somebody and I just want some company, then that's what I'll do. But I won't look at you as far as anything extra because I'm not seeing that. I'm not getting that from the relationships and from what they actually are saying, right? I had on the show, we was talking about what cheating was, right? And a lot of women, I think cheating is just strictly physical. Oh, I didn't sleep with him. I didn't kiss with him. I didn't do. This guy has been sending you roses. This guy has been sending you lunch. This guy has been offering you to take you around the world. You know that. And you didn't stop the communication. You're not blocking them. You're not deleting the number. It is there in the back pocket just in case. Why am I dating you? Why am I dating? Like, because if I have a girl on my Instagram, if I have my girl in my DMs, if I got a girl that's hitting me at nighttime or whatever the case may be, it's World War 18. I'm cheating. I'm unfaithful. No man can stay faithful, whatever, which is another topic about, monogamy and whatever. But we don't have time for that.
That's a whole nother that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Let me just respond to something, right? So, we could definitely sit here and highlight what we see. We could highlight where things are going wrong, right? But I'm gonna give a little public service announcement for the ladies, right? Let's start off by being genuine. Show up genuine. If you continue leading with what a man is going to do for you, what you can get out of a man, what he got, you're not gonna attract that quality man, that man that's going to love on you, that's going to lead you, that's going to give a F about you, that's going to sacrifice for you, that's going to make sure you good, make sure you don't need for nothing. That man you're never going to find until you start leading with being genuine. Literally, not with what you can get out of him, but being genuine. How can you be useful? How can you add to him? How can you make his life better? How can you be useful? You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the things that if you want those things that you're looking for in a man, you got to come with something and show something and present something that makes it worthwhile for that man to come back and reciprocate that same energy. That's my public service announcement.
And I'm going to add to that. An example of that, I was going out with this girl, and I wanted to go to this restaurant, a really nice restaurant. And she asked me if I had been there before. And I was like, no, but I heard about it. And she told me she had been there before. She said, it's really expensive. She said, what we should do is go to the happy hour because it's discounted and it's the same exact menu.
Okay.
I felt like dropping to a knee for that woman. Because the consideration to think about my pockets meant everything. Just so that's an example of what you're talking about, genuine. Just consider me. She didn't even buy anything. She didn't do anything. She just considered me and considered my pockets and what I had to do to make this date happen. I loved it.
Humility.
There you go.
That's humility right there.
So you say you was married, and I'm gonna answer the question as well. You say you was married. Would you get married again? Yes or no? And why?
Right now, as a stand, would I get married again? No.
Okay. Why?
It's no benefit. It's no benefit. It's no long-term benefit for me. As we get older, and this goes for men and women, we get more set in our ways. And I find it highly unlikely that as we get later on in life, the ideal woman that I would want to marry will be willing to adjust and be what I need her to be for me. As women get older, they get set in their ways. They like what they like. They don't like what they don't like. There's a less willing to be open. There's a less willingness to be flexible. There's a less willingness to be, to adjust, to assimilate. There's a less willingness to even be quiet. So knowing all of this, having the experiences that I have, there's no benefit to it. The risk is higher than the reward.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's in the as plain as it gets. The risk is higher than the reward.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the closeout for me, it's 97.5% no and 2.5%
So
yes.
how can you get a percentage?
So I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna
Yes
tell you
or
what.
no? Okay.
I highly doubt. So, I highly doubt I would marry a Western-minded woman.
Okay.
Because I've traveled the world and I've
Okay.
met other people from other regions of the world. There's still that chance of that because even me, I plan to move to another country at some point in time in my life. So that's why it's a percentage of yes. And I will say this: once I get to a certain age, it might literally be an arranged marriage. Like, listen, we need each other. Like, I can't walk up these stairs. You need me to help you roll out the bed. Let's just get together. Like, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. Because we all gonna get older. You know what I'm saying? As you get older, that's when that companionship is kind of needed, right? And it's like I've seen couples do that. I've seen people do that. It wasn't really love. They grown to respect each other and have a love for each other. But it was like, listen, he needed this, I needed this, we got it together, and this is what it is. So that's why. So it's mostly no. But yeah, if it's someone in another country that's not Western, or if they are Western, they live here, but have other traditions or other cultures behind them. Yes. But just Western, I don't know.
I would agree. And if I had the same ability to be more to drill down on my answer, I would agree. No, if it's somebody that's traditionally Western, modern, in that sense, independent, boss lady, whatever you want to call them, any of that along those lines, no, I'm not going to marry you. But if it's somebody that understands the duty that comes in marriage first, if it's somebody that's looking to, add to, what I have going or add to what we can build together, if it's somebody that understands a short-term loss for a long-term gain, if it's somebody that, understands that doesn't have a sense of instant gratification and is willing to work for what they want, yeah, I could see myself marrying them.
That's what's up. Good luck. Good luck.
They out there. I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic.
There's 8 billion people in the world, so obviously they're out there. But again, 8 billion people. I'm not trying to go through all that's
Listen,
a lot.
I heard somebody say online not too long ago, the reason why we can't find good women is because they're somewhere being a good woman.
There you go.
You just got to go find them.
Yeah, I can have fun. But again, my G, thank you for coming down.
Yes, it was a pleasure.
We got to do this again.
We definitely will.
Everybody, thank you for tuning into The Locker Room. See you next week. Peace.